Hi, my name's Zach Varda, and today on the Student Slant, we talk to the Lantern's campus editor, Summer Cartwright, about her transition from being a reporter to an editor and the new responsibilities that come with it.
So I had just got back from a very long day. I went to Cleveland for the day to interview for an internship. And I was cooking dinner in my kitchen. I was expecting the call because I interviewed a couple weeks earlier. And I knew that they already made the decision for editor in chief and they were making decisions on other positions. So when our advisor's name popped up on my phone, I got really excited, really anxious and nervous. I answered the call, and for those who don't know Spencer, he can be kind of ambiguous when it comes to good news or bad news. So we talked for a little bit, and he let me know that I was chosen to be campus editor of the Lantern. And I was super excited. My roommate was actually right next to me while I was on the phone. So she was giving me like a thumbs up. Did you get it? Or thumbs down? And I gave her a thumbs up. And I remember she squealed really, really loud. So I had to like block her with my arm because I was like, gosh, I just got this job and you're already embarrassing me. But yeah, I was super excited. In that moment, it was kind of like, all right, pressure's on. The previous campus editor was amazing and he really set the bar high. So I knew that I had big shoes to fill and I was ready to do that. I'm Summer Cartwright.
I'm Zach Varda.
I'm Jake Ray, and this is the Student Slant. So, what is it like being an editor?
It is constant. It doesn't stop. This is a job that I take with me wherever I go, whether it be out to dinner or back home with my mom. I'm constantly connected to social media, to my email, to my staff, and everyone who could possibly let me know of things going on. It is always changing, always exciting, grueling sometimes, but always worth it when you see the end product and you see the printed paper come out on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
So, what was the transition like going from just being a reporter to ultimately being, the campus editor? Easily the most, other than editor in chief, the most demanding job here at the Lantern.
Yeah, I was lucky because I had a good relationship with the previous campus editor. So when I got the job, I forget when it was, probably April, beginning of April, he helped me. I went to several print nights, which is what people do when they receive this offer for staff for the next year. So they'll come and shadow the current staff a few times during print night. I was lucky also because I talked with Nick, the former campus editor, before about wanting the position. So he helped me go to different events, conduct different interviews that would kind of broaden my horizons, would help me get to understand different aspects of the university that I might not have gotten as the USG beat reporter the semester before. So I think shadowing people on print nights really helped, and the kind of depth of experience I got as an independent study the semester after I was a beat reporter helped and kind of better prepared me for the role.
So, print night isn't something that I don't think beat reporters, even being a copy editor, doesn't really. You can't feel the pressure that an editor feels. What is print night like? You have these deadlines. You have a hard deadline when you need to get it in. I guess what's the pressure like on a print night?
Yeah, I remember the first probably month as campus editor, it was just I constantly stressed myself out, even though it wasn't necessarily do or die. Just the pressure of knowing, 10 o'clock is coming up and it comes up so quick when you're editing. You'll look at the clock and it'll be 5:30 and then you'll look again and it's going to be 8. So that was kind of not difficult, but it was definitely something to get used to, having that pressure on you for 5 hours of the night when you're editing. Now it's definitely gotten easier. I think the campus desk has a really good flow. I'll usually, if I'm not working on an article for the print, I'll be working on different stories until probably 6:30, and that's when I'll start editing after the assistant campus editor does, or the engagement editor, the copy chief, and the managing editor. And I'll take a look at that, and usually around 8:39 we'll get our first print, and what that means is it'll have mostly edited articles and what the printed copy of the paper would look like. And we'll have to make edits on the printed copy and make sure that we don't miss anything in the actual articles. And then usually around 9:15, 9:30 we'll get the second one. And hopefully by 10 we'll get all the stories in, but sometimes news it comes up late, so we'll have to scramble for that, but we've been pretty good at deadline and pretty confident in how it's been going.
You mentioned that you're still writing, so what is it like still being a reporter while trying to balance editing and dealing with other reporters and having all that responsibility put upon you?
I think writing actually helps with the stress. It's really nice to have, like, put the responsibility on yourself, write articles that you're interested in, and being able to still have that creativity and have that outlet really helps on weeks where I'm stressing about, different content getting in on time from reporters or getting different information from university officials. I think it's a good thing to be able to write as you are an editor because it does give you that kind of added necessity almost. You feel, I don't know, I feel good knowing that I produce content still on top of helping other people or, assigning different articles to different reporters, because at the end of the day, I'm going to figure out or even find out things first before my reporters. And if it is breaking news, then I'm going to be the one to report on it because I'll typically find out first, or Owen will and he'll report on it, and we'll be, editing as soon as we can while the article is in process. So it's stressful at times, but it's always fun.
So what is it like being the first with the information and then you get to choose really whatever you want to write? So what is it like, I guess, having that priority and choice in your writing compared to a beat writer?
It's fun. I get to do all the cool stuff. I don't know. It's interesting because you kind of realize a couple weeks or a couple months in who's good at what. If it is something having to do with politics or something, obviously I'm going to go to the Zach Varda because he's just an expert in all that. But if it's something having to do with the Board of Trustees or university administration, I'm confident in, the skills I have to, and the network I have with different comm people at Ohio State that, I'm going to get it done. I'll get it done quick and I'll get it done right.
So you have a lot of responsibility as an editor, but at the same time, a lot of your job is relying on other people to get their work done. I guess, kind of what is that like where you have this high-pressure job, but there's only so much, you pass something on to a reporter, it's out of your hands until they get the story back to you.
Yeah. I think the trust builds definitely over time. When you start off with a new section with new reporters, it's not that you don't trust them, you just don't know them yet. And you don't know their writing, and you don't know what to expect from their writing. So in the beginning, it was definitely anxiety waiting for articles to come back, just because, when 5 p.m. hits and we're still waiting on an article and we don't necessarily have something else for the next day, that's when it builds. That's when the anxiety kind of rises. But as you get to know different reporters better, you can kind of infer what their articles are going to be like, what the editing process for the articles are going to be like, and kind of the reliability they have and what to expect.
I guess kind of building off that, so we have a class here at Ohio State called Practicum, which is where your beat reporters come from. And this semester, for example, Practicum was smaller than normal, and some of the beats didn't get filled. And you find out, however many weeks ahead. That's kind of a difference between a student paper and the Columbus Dispatch. You can't just go out and hire somebody. There are going to, this semester you have positions unfilled. So I guess kind of what is that like where at a student paper you don't necessarily know what your staff is going to be super ahead of time?
Yeah, I remember when we got the email that we would have, what is it, like 6 or 7 beat reporters. I called Owen and we were like, oh my gosh, how are we gonna do this? It was a little scary because there's so much at Ohio State to cover, especially for campus. There are so many different entities, there are so many different, I don't know, initiatives, student body, organizations, etc. But as you get into it, you kind of realize, okay, a beat is one thing, but reporters can write about their beat and additional topics. And when you kind of realize the strengths that different writers have and realize the different interests that the reporters have, you can start assigning them different things that aren't necessarily the beat, and they'll start, building their own voice, whether it be for a USG article or a Board of Trustees article. And that consistency comes into play a lot. Obviously, we have a really great staff of editors, so if there's something that a beat reporter can't cover, there's always going to be an editor who will and who will get it done.
So personally, what made you want to become an editor?
Well, when I took practicum, I was like, okay, I'm going to get it done. It's a requirement, whatever. I just want to be a writer for SNL or Seth Meyers. Like, I'm just doing journalism to get a new job into, comedic writing, whatever. And it took probably a month and a half, and I took a step back and I was like, oh, I like this a lot. I think I might want to do this. And another month later, after getting to know the previous staff of editors better and getting to know kind of my abilities, my capabilities, I definitely started considering an editor position. I knew that I wanted something relative to campus. And after a month or two of being an independent study, so after the practicum class, I knew that the only position I wanted was campus editor. So that's the only one I applied for. I remember Spencer was like, well, are you sure you want to apply for just one? Like, a lot of people apply for multiple in case they don't get it. So I put down, I forget which one it was. I think it was engagement editor. And in the interview, they were like, okay, what do you want to do as that? And I kind of just looked at them and I was like, I don't want it. I just put it because Spencer told me to put 2. And they were like, oh, are you sure? And I was like, yep, campus editor is the only one I want. And it worked out.
So kind of going off that and you coming and deciding you wanted to be an editor, I guess, what are tips for people who want to be, who are, reporting right now but want to be an editor? Like, if it's a mindset you have to adapt, or just ways to prepare yourself if you do want to, apply to be an editor.
There is no room to be lazy. It's so easy to turn in an article that you rushed on just to get it done. But when you take the time to look at the bigger picture of an article, look at the bigger picture of a topic, you'll find new information about Ohio State that ties into it. You'll find new resources, you'll find new sources, you'll find things and make these connections that are so worth it in the end. So when you take the time, when you're writing an article and you step back from it and you do the research, first off, look if we've reported on it before, because I think a lot of people don't do that. And you do the research and say, okay, in this previous article on Mirror Lake, they were spending this much. Is that still true? And if it's not, that's definitely something you need to include. So always backtracking and doing your research. Get experience in as much as possible. So I covered USG when I was a beat reporter, and then I covered Board of Trustees, then I covered different announcements that the university made. I covered political conversations and dialogues. I covered breaking news. I covered student organizations and their protests on campus. And I covered different construction. So having that kind of wide experience in all the entities that make up campus, I think made me a good candidate for it, because I knew the comm team. I knew who was in charge if I wanted to get information on OC police, I knew who to contact for campus partners, the people who are building on High Street. And I already had that network of people. They knew me, I knew them, and I just had that comfort and that confidence and all the things that make up campus.
So when you came in as editor, well, I guess kind of what was your vision for the campus section, and then now a few months in, what's your vision kind of moving forward?
That's a good question. I knew I wanted to keep the ball rolling. So last year was an incredible year for the Lantern. I don't think we've had coverage like that in a long time, if not ever. Everyone was just on it. They were aggressive in their coverage and they were accurate in their coverage. So I know I wanted to continue to do that. I knew I wanted to continue putting that pressure on Ohio State administrators that would keep them reliable and keep them truthful, keep them honest. That's our job as student reporters. At the Lantern, we cover Ohio State like a lot of other people, but nobody has the knowledge that we do. And that gives us the leg up in our coverage. So, I knew that, I wanted more not student voice involvement, but more student organizations who could reach out to us and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is why it's important. So I think it was the week after, the week of when I officially started as campus editor, I emailed every student organization on the union's website. And I said, my name is Summer Cartwright. I'm the campus editor of the Lantern. This is my contact. I would like yours. I'd like your secretary's contact, your comm director's contact, your president, your vice president. And not a ton of them got back to me, but those who did, I've kept the connection with them. And we've been able to get different coverage that we really haven't before. And just getting, that diverse coverage was really important to me. I wanted something that would draw everyone in and would also report on not just breaking news, but things more in depth that mattered. So this year we've already had an in-depth look at racial demographics of Ohio State and how they compare to Columbus. We've had an in-depth look at an administrator who got fired for misconduct and left, and kind of what he's doing now. We've had an in-depth look on sexual assault on campuses. So getting that in-depth coverage on top of the Miller and Aller reporter was important to me, because those are the articles that will make a difference. And I want kind of more concrete, more, weekly columns or something to look forward to, which is what we'll be starting next semester, since I have that experience with the reporters who will do that. So giving students something to look forward to in the Lantern's coverage, giving them something consistent that they know, okay, they're reporting on this. I know it's going to be reliable. I know it's going to be accurate, and I know it's going to be more in depth than any other coverage, whether it be the Dispatch or whether it be Cleveland.com or Dayton Daily News, because the Lantern gets the student voice. The Lantern is on campus 24/7. We know what's happening at Ohio State. We know why it matters, and we know how to explain it to students and our readers in a way that will make them realize this is important to them.
So Zach and I are 2-year beat writers right now. So I'm more personally wondering, do you think we've kept that ball rolling?
Definitely. I think our political coverage has been incredible, and just kind of getting somebody who has that knowledge already on politics is something very important. That's Zach's beat. And then for Jake, your beat is super complicated. It is about electrons, molecules, things splitting up for, a billionth of a second or something like that. They don't make sense when you read it in a release. And you explain it and you bring it back to campus and you talk about why the research matters and why the university is a research institution and what it does for those researchers and what they're doing back for the community. So the ball has definitely been rolling with you guys and everyone else on campus staff. I mean, everyone's been so consistent, and I've been lucky enough to kind of grow as your guys. I don't know, I consider all of you guys friends, and I think that's really great because having that professional relationship is one thing, but, getting to know you guys and knowing, okay, Jake looks stressed today. I'm not going to put something on him, or I don't think that, he should cover this, but Zach is like excited about this one thing, so he can do that. Having that personal relationship is good. But I think the ball has been rolling extremely well. I think everybody is driven, whether it be editors or beat reporters, beat writers, and even, the 2221 students are really giving us some great work, and it's cool to see them produce content that's, worthy of getting published already, and they haven't even, has it been like halfway through the semester and they're already doing that? It's great, and it's exciting, and I think next semester is going to be really incredible, and I'm excited about it.
That was a great conversation. Join us next week on the Student Slant for more student perspective.